The workshops at City Farm there's two components. So I'll start by talking about the Saturday workshops that are for the City Farm School interns. Those we had 13 this year, well, we'll have 13 by the time it's completed. And how they work is we decide, they're every 3 weeks, and sort of when we're planning it, we sort of look at what's going to be going on in the growing season and think like what's the most crucial detailed information that people would want to have at this point. So the very first one we did was on how to grow seedlings in a greenhouse, because we were starting in a greenhouse. And then the next one is sort of looking forward a little bit. It's like, okay, once you have the seedlings, where do you put them? How do you design your garden? So we hired someone, Tresca from Urban Seedling, one of the owners. She came in and described her process of how she plans out many gardens all over the city. And we did exercises to plan out our gardens here. And then after that, it's like, okay, now we're going to be outside. We need to get to know the land really well. So we're like, compost, of course, compost and soil. So they're planned out in that way, where you have people who are experts coming in, facilitating workshops. The majority of them happened where there's about half of it, so about 2.5 hours, where you're in a classroom. And it's sort of a classroom style presentation with like a PowerPoint and a lot of like dense, maybe more theoretical, more scientific information that's given. And then the second half is more hands-on. So we have the expert like come out into the greenhouse or into the garden and demonstrate, how to then take the theory and put it into practice. Weather permitting, of course. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's the goal of the workshops. One of the highlights, I think, of the series of the workshops is in about the middle one. It's usually about the 6th one that we do. We go out and visit a farm. And so you go and people are familiar with like how we operate here and like understand farming a bit better and understand how to grow plants. And so then we leave the city and we go to a nearby, usually we look for something that's like a small scale organic farm, so it's not that far removed from what we're doing here, but it's clearly not the same, because these are people who are been doing it longer and make a livelihood exclusively off of the work that they do on their farm. This year we went to see Les Champs qui Chantent, and everyone was very impressed by Jenna, one of the farmers there, and her ability to like use technology, use technology to help with farming, like using an iPhone to control when the chickens come in and out of their coop, or like monitoring greenhouse temperatures and vents, again, like off of a cell phone. So that was another one of the workshops, and that one I think is really interesting, because then you see it in a different light, like you see it done in a different way. You meet different people. You'll hear contradictory information at times, which is really exciting for conversation starting and like getting people thinking about different ways of doing things back here, which is something the project really grows from at that point, because you have all of these, every year you have a group of like 20 interns learning all these different things, and then when we go out and we see another farm and they learn different ways, they bring those practices back here, and it informs the way that we do things here. We learn all kinds from that with all the different people's inputs. So yeah, those are our day-long workshops. And I guess I didn't say this part, they happen every third Saturday, and it's like a full day from 10 till 4. In the middle of that day, we take lunch, and this year we've started doing potluck lunches all the time, which has been really fun. And at the lunch break, there's a facilitated conversation based on readings chosen by a group of the City Farm students. And so the readings are video clips or something of that. Some kind of media goes out. Ideally, everyone reads it or watches it ahead of time. And we have a facilitated conversation on that. And that part I really like, because a lot of it, in terms of the structure, is set up in advance and is directed by the coordinators. But this, we are very hands-off. We just tell people, it's your turn, and then they choose the topic, whatever they want to see. I guess that's it for like the day-long workshops. And then the other part is the ones that the City Farm School students teach themselves. So in groups of 2, the students, they choose their own partner. They choose 2 dates. We call it a home game and an away game. And the idea is that they pick, again, any topic that they're interested in, be it how to grow great salad greens to addressing structural racism in food systems is sort of the gambit that you see people making choices on. And then they prepare a workshop. It's like a 1 to 2 hour workshop that has to be given free and open to the public. And the idea is they do it twice. They do it once here at the Solar House or like on this campus in a setting that's like really familiar to them, and they get a chance to sort of test run their workshop that they made. The coordinators give feedback, the other students that attend give feedback, and then they go out and they do it in another location somewhere in the community, partnering with whoever they want, really. They usually choose to partner with a community organization, or sometimes people have done it at their workplaces. And that's really interesting. Like, one of the things that you see time and time again is that some people are really hesitant to do this because it's teaching. You're putting yourself out there. You're up in front of a group of people. You're not an expert. You're a student. You're learning, but how to like facilitate a bunch of people learning on a topic that you've chosen in advance. It's a great skill to have. It's one of the reasons we do this, and for us, it's like a way to multiply our efforts. But then you see people are not really into it. They're like a little bit nervous, they're a little bit scared, and then they do it, and then they get really excited, and then they'll do it again for the required time, but you often see them going and doing it again and again and again. And that's great. To me, that's like one of the biggest successes of the project.